How does a guard actually pursue a scooter?
There are a couple of cases there that we can't go into the detail of necessarily, where it has clearly been difficult for Gardaí to pursue people either on scrambler bikes or on scooters.
People sometimes bring the scramblers thing into this conversation, and it's not completely separate. And obviously we've banned scramblers now, okay? But there are way, way, way more scooters than there are scramblers.
Yeah, totally. And scooters are far more freely available. I mean, we can
a couple
buy
hundred quid.
Yeah, we can buy one within 200 meters here, I imagine, if we really wanted to.
Hello and you're welcome to the Big Tech Show with me, Adrian Weckler. Now, should e-scooters be banned? What once seemed like a real breakthrough in mobility technology around urban areas may have transmogrified into a category of device whose danger now outweighs its utility. We've seen some shocking figures from Temple Street Hospital, first reported by RTE, revealing that 6 children in the last 3 weeks were placed on life support because of e-scooter accidents. And astonishingly, half the kids in its intensive care in Temple Street are there because of injuries related to e-scooters. So that's one part of the issue. But are there other parts of the story that might mitigate for that? Well, I'm joined by Noel Rock, a former Gael TD for Dublin West. Noel, you're welcome into studio. You were once the politician most identified with promoting e-scooters in Ireland. It's many years later now, because the period that you was doing that was 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. What do you think about them now?
Yeah, I think when I was talking about putting regulation and legislation in place for e-scooters, it was with a view to the fact that this was new technology that was clearly going to come on stream on streets in Ireland and indeed across cities.
Were they on the streets when you started talking about that?
Not really, no. I'd observed them outside of Ireland. They weren't really on the streets at that stage.
Did you?
I did. I bought one. I had to get it imported from Spain, so they weren't even buyable here.
Was it a Xiaomi?
It was, yeah, a Xiaomi M365.
Yeah.
And it came from Spain, if memory serves correctly.
That was what, 2017 or so?
2017, early 2018.
So you would have been one of the first people there were a handful of them on the roads.
Yeah, there really were a literal handful of them on the roads.
And at this time, were they common in the likes of San Francisco and the US?
Yeah, exactly
cities?
that. So they were more common in San Francisco. And that's one of the places where I would have observed them in operation. And it was clear that they were cheap, that they were convenient, that they were environmentally friendly by virtue of being electric, and that they were going to inevitably become more popular here.
And there was this dream, because I was really in favor of them around that era. And I remember writing about them. And the idea was to have this new mobility last mile solution, right? Urban cities gridlocked with traffic. Bikes aren't for everyone.
Yep.
So here you have a really small device. You might be able to take it on a bus. You could pack it away in your office if you were going into an office. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, maybe even more. And it seemed like such a no-brainer.
This is it. So in terms of urban mobility, it seemed like a very good first mile or last mile solution that would allow you to make your bus network or your train network so much more accessible to such a wider variety of people. And so it was in that spirit that I definitely approached the positive side of it, because you could see that like Dublin does have a clear congestion problem and a clear mobility problem. And it was quite clear to me that they were going to become very, very popular in use on Irish streets, particularly in Dublin. So my goal ultimately was to try and put a framework in place, a legislative and regulatory framework in place that would ensure that when they were adopted in Dublin, that best practices were kind of front and center.
Now, look, fast forward to 2026. And I'm sure there are some people who rely on e-scooters to get into work, to do their messages. But really what I predominantly see in the Dublin 1 area where we were in Talbot Street, it's a tough enough area of the city. And honestly, it's a disaster around here, around these streets. And by listening to doctors and neurosurgeons in kids' hospitals, it appears to be a bit of a disaster from a health point of view as well. One neurosurgeon was quoted, again, I think in RTE, in Temple Street, saying that e-scooters now represent the number one source of head trauma to kids in recent years. So what has gone wrong here?
I think a number of things have gone wrong in parallel. First and foremost, the legislation around e-scooters wasn't enacted until 2024. So some 5, maybe 6 years after I'd first tabled it.
And just explain that. Like, so what, do you mean the legislation that deregulated them, where you didn't have to have insurance and tax and that sort of stuff?
Essentially, that brought legal clarity to the matter, yeah. So in terms of ensuring that there was no tax required or no insurance required and no license plate required, under 16s can't use them under the law.
Which, by the way, that's a joke.
Indeed, and we'll revisit that in a second. In terms of max speed and max engine capacity as well. So setting out kind of detailed regulations around all of these matters.
So that was a bit late.
Very late in the day. And what had happened between 2018 and 2024? Well, essentially, bad practices had taken hold.
Because loads of people knew that this law was coming in, because we were talking about it as a country. So then the guards laid off seizing them for not having tax and insurance. So then loads of more people bought them. Yep. So now you have thousands or tens of thousands of e-scooters going around without a legal framework in place, and the guards not really knowing what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And the guards were kind of caught between two stools, I suppose, there. Like, obviously, they can't really comment to this, but it was clear that they were in use on Irish roads and on roads in Dublin between 2018 and 2024 in growing number year on year. Yet, generally speaking, they weren't being seized. So there was kind of a legal grey area, because there was a very legitimate expectation among the public that eventually legislation was going to come, because it had been successively promised again
I wonder,
and again.
Even if the legislation had come in earlier, though, would we have avoided the issues, the problems that we have now? And I'm specifically thinking about, say, e-scooters like bombing around on footpaths, like whatever one's views are in relation to cyclists and traffic lights. And I know that can be an emotional and contentious issue. My God, with e-scooters, it's the
same, but worse even.
Way worse. Way worse. I'm just wondering, what legislation could have helped that?
Yeah, I mean, you look at legislation as one part of it. You look at enforcement as the other part of it. And
enforcement meaning the guards, you mean?
Yeah. And I think it's certainly the case that antisocial behaviours on these vehicles, and they are vehicles, and I think we need to call them that and be clear about calling them that. They're not gadgets, they're not toys, they're vehicles. It's clear that antisocial behaviours have become, inverted commas, tolerated on these. You know, kids are visibly using them on the streets. 2 or 3 people. I've seen 3 people use one vehicle.
And in terms of the guards, like, I was listening to a representative of the Garda Representative Association. His point of view was that they've no training in terms of pursuit of e-scooters. And like, you can kind of imagine like ducking around Amiens Street, Talbot Street, O'Connell Street. How does a guard actually pursue a scooter?
Yeah, and I mean, there are a couple of cases there that we can't go into the detail of necessarily, where it has clearly been difficult for Gardaí to pursue people either on scrambler bikes or on scooters. Now, that's interesting. That's a matter for the Gardaí.
I know people sometimes bring the scramblers thing into this conversation, and it's not completely separate. And obviously, we've banned scramblers now, okay? But there are way, way, way more scooters than there are scramblers.
Yeah, totally. And scooters are far more freely available. I mean, we can
couple hundred quid.
Yeah, we can buy one within 200 meters here, I imagine, if we really wanted to. So they're very, very easily available. So here's
the question now. And I posed this in my intro. Has the negative outweighed the positive? And are we getting to a point now we have to start talking about whether they should be banned?
Yeah, I think you and I are in a similar space on this, insofar as I would have greeted the advent of them with some optimism around solving transport and kind of social mobility challenges there when they first came to my attention.
No, well, we've gone through that.
But now, looking at it from where we are today, the negatives are definitely piling up and the positives aren't as clear anymore.
Well, let's go through them, right? So I'd say the positives are that it still is a device that is kind of unique and that can get you from A to B quite easily, particularly in an urban setting. That's number one. Number two, they're affordable. Number three, they're not that difficult to operate. So it's quite a democratic vehicle or instrument. Any more positives?
Yeah, that's essentially it. Environmental as well.
Oh yeah, okay. So you're not relying on cars, buses, and you're taking yourself out of that. and also quicker because you're not relying on those modes of transport. Now, the negatives: antisocial behavior, absolutely huge. Injuries to kids, off the charts now. Unregulated use of the machines in terms of clocking the speeds. I've seen e-scooters going, 60 kilometers an hour easy on main roads.
Yeah, and like it's something I've noticed as well. Like if I'm driving in a 50k zone and I'm at about 50k, scooters are keeping pace with me comfortably. And anyone can see them now where there are more advanced, sophisticated, let's call them, vehicles, which clearly have significant suspension and essentially function almost like a motorcycle.
So here's the thing. If you made that argument to me about cars, you would say to me, or somebody might say to me, look, we know that that there are going to be about 150 or so fatalities at least this year from cars. We know that in Ireland. We try to avoid it and we try to regulate it, but we know that. Is that a reason for banning cars? And I'll speak for myself, and the answer is no. And the reason it's not a reason for banning cars is that there is too much utility from cars. As brutal as that sounds, even with 150 fatalities, cars are too important to society to ban. Now I go to e-scooters. Can I say the same thing about e-scooters? Are they fulfilling a function that is in any way close to other modes of transport to balance, to rebalance the argument that they should be banned? And I'm really struggling.
Yeah, I'd be in that boat as well now. What I would say in relation to it is that there are a number of sequential steps that you could take to tighten supply and usage of them before looking to an outright ban prospectively.
Okay.
So in terms of a requirement, for example, to register them like you would register a vehicle. So, there's no way a 15-year-old could walk into a garage and buy a car right now, yet a 15-year-old can walk into somewhere and buy a scooter.
Do you mean at the point of purchase?
Yeah.
Okay.
Equally, we could look at tax requirements, for example. That's happened in other jurisdictions as well.
How does that work?
Essentially tax it like a motor vehicle, right? A special category of motor vehicle, equally requiring that the person is over 16. So essentially another mechanism by which you can enforce that existing law.
So let's say you had either of the 16 one is a little tricky because I'm thinking of guards being able to stop an e-scooter on the street and seize it if necessary. And I think the most recent figures I saw is they've seized, I think, 750 in the last 12 months or something like that. So quite a few e-scooters seized. If they stopped an e-scooter and it clearly wasn't taxed, you could just whip it off the street there and then.
Exactly. And that's to an extent like what has happened in other jurisdictions. Well, different jurisdictions are approaching this in different ways. Let's start there. In Germany, there's a requirement for registration, and each vehicle, and again, I call them vehicles, have a number plate, for example. In Paris, there was a referendum held by the mayor Anne Hidalgo, and they decided to just withdraw shared scooters, i.e. the ones you could rent off the street altogether. In the UK, it's still on a trial basis, essentially, and it's only shared scooters, so no privately owned scooters in the UK. Why do I mention these shared versus private scooters? I would have obviously worked with one of the shared scooter companies in the past. It's always important to acknowledge that. And as part of that work, there are certain things that you can do with a shared scooter fleet in terms of restricting usage. So, for example, you can restrict under 16s using them because you could require a passport scan or something like that before you're able to activate them. You can restrict speed, obviously, because they're not owned by the private individuals. So you can restrict speed on them. You can restrict usage in certain areas. So, for example, let's say Temple Bar would strike me as unsuitable for a scooter. It's pedestrianised, cobblestone for the most part. You could geolock Temple Bar.
Didn't we have, though, and I'm referring back to the San Francisco days, but also a lot of other European cities, the issue of rental scooters being left all over the place.
Street clutter. And that's why Paris got rid of them.
Yeah.
And that's why I mentioned different cities have approached this in kind of lots of different ways, essentially. So there's no one-size-fits-all model. But
so are you kind of heading more toward, well, it sounds like from what you're saying, rather than ban them outright, maybe we should start by just, say, banning them properly for, say, under 16.
Yeah, I think like they're already banned for under 16s, but obviously that ban
is enforceable.
Exactly, Adrian. Like that ban isn't working. Like it's
like the thing about that ban. Like I don't think parents are aware of that ban.
So
you look at a kid with confirmation money who's 12 or 13. I'm aware of several parents, or I remember a couple of kids who got an e-scooter whose parents would have had no idea that it was illegal.
Yeah, and indeed maybe no idea how powerful a vehicle it is. My understanding is there was a stat before the Oireachtas Transport Committee yesterday around this, where some polling or survey work was undertaken, and fewer than perhaps 20% of parents were aware of the under 16 ban being in place.
Yeah.
Like quite a significantly low number, raised by Deputy Shane Moynihan of Fianna Fáil in Dublin Midwest. So there is definitely something to be said for tightening up that piece of the ban, I would say. But even still, that isn't all the antisocial problems either. And I know you know that, but I think it's worth reiterating. Like there are still antisocial problems around use by adults on footpaths.
Yeah.
Antisocial problems in terms of vehicles going way beyond the max speed that they're supposed to be going. And again, this kind of speaks to this balancing point that you're making around social good versus social ill. And we definitely need to do a lot more there.
I think the confusion with kids, I think I understand it. I'm looking at Smith's store's website at the moment. Now, they feature kids' e-scooters, electric ones. And they have now a maximum speed of 10 kilometers an hour. So it's a lot lower than the e-scooter, the bigger ones we're talking about. But they're electric. Runtime approximately 50 minutes. Charge time 3 to 4 hours. Range 8 to 10 kilometers.
Golly.
For a little pink scooter. I'm looking at it right now. Maximum rider height is 160 kilometers. So that's over 5 feet in fairness. Max rider weight, 50 kilograms. So they're selling them to kids. Now, just to be super clear, these are not the 25 kilometers per hour, 50 kilometer per hour things that we're talking about. There's no suggestion here that these are being sold against the law. They are not. My point is, this explains the confusion among parents as to why they don't understand whether e-scooters are illegal for kids or not.
Yeah, very much so. And that is totally understandable from a parenting perspective, right? So definitely there's more to be done there in terms of awareness and education. The other piece, and I haven't seen that website, but I would assume that there is some
toy store.
In Ireland. There'd be some. I'm familiar with Smiths.
Yeah.
There'd be some advisory, I imagine, on the page to say that they're not supposed to be used on public roads, etc., etc.
Yeah, no. Well, actually, that's a good question. And listen, again, there's no suggestion that Smiths are doing anything at all that they're not allowed to do. Yes, it says, important for private use only. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not to be used in public roads or pavements.
Yeah,
always check local laws. Okay, that's fine. Other stores like Decathlon, they'll sell full size.
They sell regular scooters.
Now, that to be clear, Decathlon is a grown-up store for grown-ups, also frequented by kids. Not suggesting Decathlon is doing anything wrong at all, but I'm trying to paint a picture of how confusion emerges in the minds of adults when they see e-scooters for sale and where they see them for sale.
Yeah, and essentially there's no friction, right, between the point of purchase and the point of usage. And what do I mean by that exactly? I mean, let's take you, for example, as a parent. You could buy an e-scooter in good faith for your child's 14th birthday, and there's going to be no kind of friction point between you buying, you gifting, and them using.
No.
Right? There's no real point of friction there.
It's easy.
Correct. It is easy. So thinking about...
If I'm a lazy dad and it's my kid's birthday tomorrow, I can walk into a shop at 4:00 in the afternoon, buy one, wrap it, and give it to them the next morning.
Yeah, correct. So that it's kind of thinking about that framework and how do we introduce friction into that framework, be it by taxation requirement, registration requirement, insurance requirement. But if these things don't work, Adrian, let's be clear about it, then a ban does have to be looked at. Like the stats that you're talking about there in terms of child injuries, and indeed injuries to adults and pedestrians, and indeed scooter users, adult scooter users as well, it's not working presently. I think we can be clear about that. Now, I do lay some of the blame at the sort of lacuna that existed between 2018 and 2024, but nevertheless, the law was introduced 2 years ago as well. And it's still not working in the way that's required or in the way that was envisaged. So it's clear that changes are needed. I think introducing friction would improve some of those metrics and outputs. But if they don't, then we will have to look at it.
You're no longer associated with any of that. But like do you see any signs of that? Any signs of that kind? I mean, we have had ministers out. I think Sean Canny was talking potentially about reverting to the tax and insurance model deregulation law. I've seen Darragh O'Brien before talk about high-vis vests and helmets. I'm not sure that would do an awful lot to help. But if that's what's on offer, and obviously the Taoiseach has been out talking about the problem and we need to do something about it, and literally won't someone think of the kids. But I haven't seen any kind of more nuanced discussion than that type of stuff that you're talking about. Yeah,
and I think that's what's going to be required. And I know there are a number of people within the political system, some former and some current, who would have, a good idea of what's needed here exactly to ensure a system that still brings about some of the positives that we already discussed, but also negates most, if not all, of the negatives that we've discussed as well.
Who would a ban hurt?
Who would a ban hurt? Like, it's the very lowest income users, for example, adult users, who inevitably there would be presumably a cost requirement for registration or tax or insurance. So it would hurt them prospectively. But otherwise, no, it's pretty...
No, but if we actually banned them and took them off the streets...
banned them, sorry, pardon me. Mostly, certainly from my observation and perception, the adults who use them in a safe way are people who use them because they live kind of far from a train station or kind of far from a bus stop and can't afford to get like a taxi to a bus stop or a train station. They'd be the people that would be most negatively impacted by it.
Because public transport, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't let you take them on anymore.
No, they don't anymore.
Is that because of the battery?
Yeah, it's the same as how airplanes are beginning to ban battery packs now as well. The standards that are applied to, say, phone manufacturing batteries just aren't applied in the same rigorous way in terms of the lithium-ion batteries.
Do they apply that to e-bikes?
The ban on board?
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a... Forgive me now, Adrian. I think there's a bit of a difference between how Dublin Bus, Irish Rail and Bus Éireann approach this issue. So I'm not entirely sure if all three ban both bikes and scooters.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that Dublin Bus do ban e-scooters. I actually have no idea what their policy is on bikes at all. And Irish Rail, I'm pretty sure I've seen e-bikes on Irish Rail. Now, that doesn't reflect on whether they're banned or not.
I think, and again, we're both going off kind of muscle memory here to a certain extent. I don't think e-bikes are banned on Irish Rail at the time being, but I think there is a ban on bikes in general at certain peak hours of the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, so look, what do we do now? How do we think about this? Honestly, having been really pro e-scooter in the past, I'm losing faith in our system, in our country, to be able to deal with it. Even if we bring in bylaws and regular laws, I'm losing faith in our system to enforce that. And therefore, I am now starting to lean more sympathetically toward a ban, which is really not my default mode. I don't like bans on things like social media. I think they're counterproductive. I think teenagers will use them anyway. But those who are in favor of bans on those things say, yes, you will see residual use of social media, but some people at least will stop using them. And also it takes away pester power, which is some 12-year-old, 13-year-old telling their parent, yeah, but he has one down the road. Why can't you get me one? You don't love me anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, like a ban would be, in a sense, a pity given the optimistic position with which I would have viewed them back in 2018, 2019. However, I would definitely not be blinkered about this. There's clearly a mounting case for a ban to be put in place. And I think the vehicles, and they are vehicles, are kind of in the last chance saloon now, essentially. I think government has kind of one shot at trying to introduce friction to the process and trying to minimise the dangers and the ills associated with scooters.
Noel Rock, thanks a million for coming in. Really appreciate all of that. Rory Bones was on sound today. JJ Clark produced. This is Adrian Weckler, and you've been listening to or watching The Big Tech Show, and we'll talk to you soon.